Honorable Prime Minister Montali, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, all protocols observed. I'm very honored to have the opportunity to deliver these remarks virtually, although I would have loved to be with you in person at this important gathering in beautiful Barbados. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to start by reiterating that Africa's chronic lack of sustainable energy is not just an energy challenge. It is a development and security emergency. Without urgent, strategic, and scale-up investments, Africa's energy poverty will continue to limit the continent's path to delivering efficient services and industrialization, its ability to feed itself sustainably, and providing its citizens with quality health, education, and economic opportunities. We have a security threat because Africa's population is growing at a rate of 2.4% per annum. That is 35 million more Africans per year. Young people's demand for a better future is legitimate, and meeting it requires an astronomical increase in the continent's available energy for job creation, mobility, and cooling. The continent's rapidly growing rate of urbanization, with an estimated 350 million Africans living in cities by 2030, leave us with a very small window to avert crisis through energy-efficient urban design and planning. Opportunities to incorporate electrified mass transportation systems in our cities, energy to minimize post-harvest losses in transporting and storing food, and sustainable energy that truly enables entrepreneurship and development. We cannot talk about prosperity when fossil fuel, mineral, and metal exports account for 55% of Africa's export revenue. If we exclude North Africa, 57% of African exports are basic metals, followed by 8.8% for food and beverages. Affordable and reliable energy access handicaps African manufacturers because while the data shows that African industries are increasingly more integrated into various global value chains, they export upstream and intermediate inputs at a much lower revenue than they would have gotten for finished products. Indeed, we cannot talk about prosperity and Africa's potential to capitalize on the projected four-fold increase in global demand for its abundant critical raw materials reserves, such as lithium, cobalt, aluminium, and platinum, knowing full well that Africa's capacity to capture this value depends on readily available and reliable energy and dependable transport corridors. We cannot claim to be investing in Africa's prosperity unless we move beyond the pit-to-port extractive model and build the continent's manufacturing and value addition capacity. We cannot talk about equity when in this day and age, the leading cause of premature death in Africa is black carbon, or soot, from burning wood and biomass, which make up over 80% of the continent's energy source for cooking. Not when countries like Nigeria and Senegal have enough natural gas resources to solve their own clean cooking needs and supply the entire Western Africa and beyond. We cannot talk about equity when deadly heat waves from climate change are making life and work unbearable in many African countries, whose energy infrastructure is now here close to meeting the demand for cooling. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, when it comes to energy access, Africa is like a marathon runner starting the race and hoping to win when the other runners have already run for 4 hours ahead. The runner, Africa, would need a turbo boost to have a fair chance to catch up at all. In this case, that booster is financing. We all know the much repeated figure of this decade that Africa's national determined contributions, NDCs alone, are estimated to cost approximately $2.8 trillion between 2020 and 2030. We are halfway through this timeline, and the global financial architecture is still now here close to delivering a fraction of this amount. This is to say nothing about the painful economic and social trade-offs African countries must make in the short and medium term to prove themselves ambitious in delivering on their NDCs and accessing the meager fleeting pool of climate financing. My humble request for you today is that we please move from talking about Africa's potential for this or that. We Africans know that we have the potential. We have feasibility study after feasibility study to tell us what can be done. What we need is concrete action to make the potential a reality. And for that, Africa needs to control and master its energy assets, renewable and non-renewable, and its economic flows. For that, Africa needs to break the financing paradox, a continent rich in financial resources, but in permanent debt distress, begging for ODA, and recognize that domestic resource mobilization should be in the driver's seat for Africa's financing for development. I hope we can shift our energies in that direction. Thank you.